everyone, the newest story kit is out and the theme is friends. So I thought I would give you a little bit of a tutorial about how I put together a layout using only the digital kit. So this just came out, well, it was revealed on the 13th and it was released today. I do still order the physical kits and that will be coming in the mail soon, but I'm totally in love with this kit. The colors, the sentiments, everything. So I was really excited to play with it. And I'll definitely make more layouts when the physical kit comes, but I thought I would do a quick kind of layout using some of the digital elements. The first thing I always do is I print off a hard copy of the kit so it shows all of the things that come in the main kit. I find this really helpful, especially if you're working with some of the digital materials. It just kind of gives you an overview of what you're working with. I then keep these in a binder so I can reference back to them for future projects. So what I'm doing here is I'm gonna make a 6x8 layout, double-sided. Sometimes I go through my story kit album and I have like some holes in here where I haven't told a story yet that requires like this size page protector. So normally I would put something like this in like 2 6x8 page protectors, but I'm gonna work on the back of list, which I just like totally copycatted from Allie because I had a 6x8 here and then a little bit larger outside of the page protector. So that's what I'm working with. And I've already went into Photoshop and created my journaling. So this one's actually gonna go on this side here inside of the page protector, and then my photo will go on the outside here. So I've already done quite a bit off camera. What I did here is I have a 6x8 photo, but I didn't want to create the holes inside of the photo because I'm gonna be putting a border around it, which you'll see in a little bit. So actually, using one of the journaling cards here that has all of these dots and the flower, which are supposed to be for journaling lines, I created just an extra about maybe a little less than a 1-inch strip here. So when I put it in my album, that's where I can poke the holes at, so it doesn't interfere with my picture. And then, so this is a little bit larger. Let me see the size here. It's 7x8, which actually might be a little bit smaller than exactly what the page protector is. Yeah, maybe a little shorter. It might be 8 1/4. But that's what this piece of paper is here, and I'll just put those back to back. So in Photoshop, you can see that I already put my text in here. I used one of the stamps, so one of the digital files that said "so thankful for these," and arranged that here. But I knew that I wanted to cut a lot out on my silhouette. So when you have the digital kit, sometimes to create some extra dimension, some extra texture, it's nice to use things like your silhouette to add some different embellishments. So I have cut out a series of things here. What I did is I actually went through my stash of cardstock and found some colors that corresponded with the colors in the kit, and I actually got really lucky and found pretty much all of them. And then I knew I was gonna cut some stuff out. So how I actually did this in Photoshop is I actually put the thing that I was gonna cut out in the silhouette, like the text or the shapes or whatever, already on there. So then I kind of knew where to place the files and where to place my text. And then I ended up deleting those things before printing because I cut these out with my silhouette, like this. So the idea is that I was gonna use maybe some of the flowers here, Sullivan says hi, to kind of number these things that were going on this week. And I just have a little bit of white cardstock here, as that is kind of a private story. But that's what I'm thinking about doing for the journaling. And then for the photo, there was a card in the digital file that I really, really loved. And it was this. It says, "Good friends, good times," and I liked that it had this border, and then it had a little cluster of flowers here. So what I decided to do is recreate that cluster and the border, but instead of using it on a journaling card, put it onto my photo here. So what I did And of course you have to be kind of careful because this is thin. So I cut this out on my silhouette. Obviously I made it a lot larger and I measured the size of the photo. So again, I didn't want this to overlap with the holes that I'll punch here. So that's why I wanted to keep this on the photo. So that'll go something like that. And then I pretty much cut out all of these. Oh, there's a little corner here too. So I pretty much just cut these all out. The border might have been black, but I ended up printing it in yellow to correspond with Friends. And then I printed off the little flower cluster down here, which I'll arrange pretty much in the same color. So I think that'll look really cute. So I'm gonna start gluing some stuff down here. I think I'm gonna start with my journaling because this is probably gonna be the easiest. All right. So you can see here when I put the text on, I created this little space to allow for the F in Friends. See how the text kind of wraps around that? I like how that kind of hugs that a little bit. And so again, when I was putting this in on Photoshop, I allowed for that F because I already had the file there. And then like I said, right before I printed this, I just deleted that because I knew I would add the cut file with my silhouette on here. I often like to size these a little bit larger than the piece of paper. You can see how my S kind of expands out here. If I would have been maybe planning a little bit more ahead, I probably made this slightly larger to have the same thing happen on this side. So you could interact on both ends, but that's okay. Okay, so I like how that kind of interferes there. And then I'm gonna use, wow, my cats are super vocal today. I wanna use these flowers to talk about what the story I'm telling here is how much of an awful week it was, but how my friends at work help make things a little bit easier. And so there were 3 major things that happened this past week that made it really challenging. And so I wanted to use these as kind of a placeholder for the numbers. And I think it'll really correspond nicely because of the repeated colors for the photo. So what I was thinking about doing, I have these number stickers that came in past kits. One is a white, yeah, pretty much white, and the other is a light pink. I think I'm gonna do the light pink because it matches some of the cardstock. And I'm hoping that these just fit right on these flowers. Yeah, I think that'll look great. Then I'm just gonna adhere that down. So there's the first bad thing that happened, which was actually Elizabeth Warren dropping out of the presidential race. I was super duper bummed about that. So that is my first story. My second one's gonna go here. Yeah. And again, I did the same thing that I did with Friends. I actually put in that flower element at roughly the same size so I could kind of house it in there. You don't have to do that, but I like how the text then interacts with that piece there. Okay, and then the third one was my Sullivan got super sick this past week, and I want to say thank you for all the well wishes. That was actually him who was meowing in the background. He's feeling so much better, and we are so happy about that. Okay. I'm gonna put that there. So we have 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, I think that looks good. And I'll probably end up adding the date somewhere, but I'm actually gonna work on this for a minute. So, so this is a picture of my desk, and this is obviously Burt Reynolds. So we kind of have a little bit of a tradition where I work at Voices of Hope. When things get a little tough, we pass around this picture of Burt Reynolds. And it's a joke, obviously, but it's actually a story behind one of the performances that we are involved in called the Vagina Monologues, and there's a monologue about Burt Reynolds. And this year they actually had a picture of him, this infamous picture of him on a bearskin rug at the silent auction, and my coworker won it. So if you have a bad day at Voices of Hope, we pass around this picture of Burt, and it's an inside joke, but it was basically my coworkers just being very kind and saying, hey, I know you're kind of having a hard time this week, so that was really thoughtful. Okay, so in this card, there were 2 spaces that's gonna allow for those cutout pieces that I had to kind of interact with the border there. So I've glued down this corner, and I'm actually using a glue pin because this is pretty thin. I probably could have made it a little bit thicker, but I don't know, I think its thinness kind of makes it look just a little bit more delicate and a little more detailed. Okay. So I'm gonna try to get this lined up as best I can with this other piece. It's a little bit tricky because I want to get the same kind of sides here as the other one. Okay, close enough. Now, I'm thinking about this picture. This picture has a lot going on, not only Burt, but other things. It has my Nevertheless She Persisted mouse pad, which is obviously a tribute to Warren, but I have my Warren sticker here too, and because my story talks about her, I really want to ensure that this is visible. So I'm actually gonna create my own other gap here so you can read that. So I'm just gonna cut just right above it and right below it. Oh yeah, I think that looks great. Okay. So now, the way this flower is, it has this big one here. Let me take a look. So it has this stem kind of interacting with the edge here, and then the flower here. And then it has this guy down here. Pink flower here. And of course, you don't have to do this exactly the same, but I like that there's different shapes and different colors. Let's clean that up a little bit. Okay. So something like that. Of course, I don't want to cover Burt. And then this guy has some little like petals. And it has 3, but I might just do these 2 because I don't want it to look too kind of cluttered down here. So that looks fine to me. Trying to decide if I want to have those overlap at all. I think I will. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna see if I have room for the 3 petals because I don't have a lot of red in here, And I really like the red. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. And I'm gonna choose to put this petal over the border. So I'm gonna repeat that somewhere else so it doesn't just look like a mistake, because here we've eliminated the piece of the border where those elements kind of interact with it. But this one I'm going over, so I'm probably gonna repeat that somewhere. And I like that there's a variety of that happening. I think it makes it visually interesting. Okay, so the other thing I did was I cut out some more flowers. I cut out, oh, this is my eye that goes here. And then I cut out some of the circle pieces, which I think are actually from the sticker sheet. So I just punched these out. This one, although it kind of cut off on the side here, I like the idea of repeating pink, and I could just cover that up. And then that kind of goes with the pink here. And I like that it says good friends, because my coworkers were really looking out for me. And I could put some other stickers here too, or pieces, something like that. Or I could put another flower. I kind of like that because it repeats the red, which I don't have anywhere else, and it repeats that same flower, so I think it looks kind of nice having those both together. So I am gonna go ahead and adhere this down. So again, this is the part where I'm gonna play with this border again. So before I put the petal on top of it, but I'm actually gonna sneak this underneath. Partially because this cut off when I was printing, but yeah. I like that that happens kind of some different ways. All right, and then I'm gonna put the flower on here as well. Okay, let's take a look at that. I think that looks really cool. I'm gonna glue this down. So I have an eye here. You know, and I could, if these were maybe a little bit smaller, I could still use that. That would look kind of cool. Could use a different color, but I'm just gonna use the yellow that I cut it out in. Now the other thing I could do, I pulled out some enamel dots that I end up having a lot of, and I thought about using these as the center for the flowers. So here I have some yellow. I was thinking, and I could even use that for the dot there to give it a little different texture, but I'm thinking on that flower that would look nice, and maybe I'll add one up here as well. Something like that. Okay, I'm gonna punch the holes in this. So all I'm gonna do is just line this up. I'm gonna use my power punch. I really like that I kind of use this dotted pattern on the side here. Sometimes I'm guilty of forgetting that I need to punch holes here, and then it kind of interacts with the photo, and I didn't want to lose anything in this photo. So it's always a good reminder that you can add something here or just kind of allow for those holes if you're going to be adding it directly into your album. So actually I will probably just adhere these back to back, and then I'll just slip this inside the page protector, and I will have to add the date, but I'm gonna look up exactly when I got my Burt Reynolds photo. All right, super quick and easy tutorial using the Friends Story Kit with just the digital elements. Thanks for watching.